Hello, what's up? This particular these questions are from Vagrein channeling session with a participant. And even though they may not seem like they're completely connected, they're all about metaphysical experience. They're all about non-physical experience. They're all about understanding the mechanisms of our existence outside of the physical. And I've decided to keep them all together because they do have some sort of coherence. And I really think that you're going to benefit and really enjoy this particular session. So thank you to the participant who allowed me to share this with you. And thank you to all of you guys for being here. Please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I love your comments, and I will see you soon. Enjoy.
So when I have dreams of people or experiences, I'm not sure if I'm seeing another version of me and people in that life, or am I traveling, astral traveling, or am I healing some version of myself? I have specific people that I see in my dreams in different parts of the world and
Yes.
different times. What is that?
So your non-physical aspect does not have the laws of your physicality by any means. Not only are you able to travel non-physically through location, but also time, because neither of them exist on a non-physical level. Yes, your non-physical beingness is connected to your brain, to your mental aspects, and those are constrained in some ways to your physical vessel that is somewhat of a bridge between the two. Your mind is able to be both physical and non-physical. But when you are dreaming, for example, the dream state does not follow the rules, as you know, of the physical experience. And your non-physical self is not actually in your body anyway. It is what puppeteers your body. It is when you are in your waking state, engaged in the experience of managing that awaked being or that awakened body in that vessel, or seeming to be in that vessel, animating it with its soul, the anima. In your dream state, the reason why you have repetitions of the same characters or specific information that can be recognizable is because those particular experiences of non-physical isness, which may or may not be connected to physical form, either in this time or what is perceived of as your past, are relevant for you. They're relevant for you in some way or other because they do have information that would be or could be of service to you in this particular physical reality. Or alternately, the information that you have in this particular physical reality is of some use to that other aspect of self that is in a parallel existence. Interestingly, beings, humans, do not often perceive of themselves as the past lives of something else, which is humorous to us, because if you can remember your past lives, why is it that you do not imagine that you can remember or be influenced to the future ones?
Mm, great question.
You are linear beings and therefore forget to remember that the non-physical world, the other densities of existing, do not play by the same rules as your linearity or location. It is only on the plane that you are existing in this now moment that time is perceivable, or the illusion of time is perceivable to you. Therefore, outside of that, there is much more freedom that you often allow yourself to express.
Thank you. I started reading your and Jesse's book last night, and a new concept was introduced to me. The old concept was that awakening and ascension is about remembering who you are, but you introduced forgetting who you are, forgetting your ego, the opposite. And that was so profound to me. And it seems as if you were explaining that forgetting who you've known yourself to be in this in this human life thus far with the conditioning is easier to achieve than remembering who I really am. Do I have that right?
Yes, because you never did forget who you truly are. You know
Yeah.
this because you have emotions. You know this because you do dream. You know this because you do have a sensation of being an energetic frequency and of being your quote unquote self when you feel as if you are your highest self. You do know this because when you decide, even without thinking the thought, I will now raise my arm, if you even have the impulse of raising your arm to grab something off of a shelf, it simply occurs. You know for a fact what you truly are. It is that on top of that, you have pasted everything else. You have never forgotten. You do not need to remember that you are a divine being. You are 100% certain from that space of who you are, what you are. It is all of this extra playful, and we are not criticizing your human experience because it is indeed very playful, it is indeed very creative, but it is indeed a aspect that is illusory to the truth of what you are. So, in choosing to simply let go of that, everything that is not the natural ability to raise your arm when you are reaching for a can of beans, yes, it's simple, is the reality, as opposed to trying to remember something that seems so abstract to you. You have very close familiarity with that divinity. It is simply that it's buried under a pile of laundry.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. In the past couple of months, when I come out of meditation, I see this golden grid on the walls and the ceiling. It's not a symmetrical grid, it's non-symmetrical. And lately, I've been able to see this grid or marbling, I don't know how else to explain it, outside of meditation. What am I seeing?
It is your inner eye, your non physical, physical eyesight, picking up on the physical, or not physical, the visual representation of energy that creates all that is. This will not be the same representation for everyone because it is very much influenced by your specific conditioning, by your mind, but it is that visual cortex picking up on what is not normally visual to you. There are beings who can see angels, beings who can see energy that has passed on, orbs, many different non physical aspects, and it is your eyes, or the part of your brain that would normally be connected to your physical eyes, also reconnecting with what is known as your spiritual eyes. It would not be a surprise to us if you began to see also energies, if you began to see also things that you did not quite feel were there, but also knew were not in the physical world. Because this grid is not, it is not as if you are believing that suddenly the walls have a grid on them. You are aware that there is a aspect of you that is being projected, correct?
Correct.
So the difference between you, perhaps, and someone who is seeing similar things and is developing what is considered by the mainstream as mental disorders is that the one that is seeing the things and believing them to be in the external world is obviously imagining, or can be seen to be imagining, things that are not really there, or things that are dangerous to them, even though they are simply on an energetic level. Many people have these skills, many people have these abilities, and yours are turning on because you are allowing them to come through during that meditative state.
Thank you. Uh, when I was a kid, I would see things, and as I got older, I was not able to see those things. So I do feel that is coming back. In meditation, I am seeing uh, uh, energies, I think, moving in this brilliant white iridescent glow. I saw myself in front of me, an outline, and then energies moving. And I suspect that's the same as what you just described.
Yes, because that occurrence will occur with eyes opened or closed. It will occur in states of full consciousness or dream state. And you already do have the ability. This is the cortex that perhaps is the most active for you. Each being will have the senses that are beyond their physical senses, but some will have more active hearing, others will have more active sight, others will have more active cognizance or recognition of smells, etc. So there are many ways to access the non-physical, and each being has their own specific way that that is most accessible.
Thank you. I've made it a daily practice over the last several months of listening to binaural beats. And it has really helped with my anxiety and other benefits. And what can you tell me about what that does to? So it activates or calms or does something to your vagus nerve in the body. And I find it beneficial for me. Is there anything more that I should know about that?
In terms of anything at all, there's not much more that you should know, other than whether or not it feels beneficial to you, other than whether or not it feels good to you for this now moment. Anything can change in any now moment, of course, but if it feels good to you for now, then that is the most important thing to know about it. We do know, however, that you have a curious existence, a curious beingness, and that your question does come from a state of innocence, not from a state of anxiety. Therefore, we can confirm that yes, it does have an effect upon the brain that not only calms that particular aspect of the nervous system, but also connects the two hemispheres of the brain so that there is more communication between them. In the collective that you are currently in, there is some level of lethargy between the connection of the full brain. And in the reconstitution of these connections, you do begin to have access to more of your brain power in general, because as the two hemispheres connect to each other and communicate with each other, they also entrain each other to use more of the potential of the brain function that is available. You will find that your thinking becomes faster. We will, however, also preface this with the ways that you measure brain function in your current collective are not entirely in alignment with the reality of whether or not the brain is functioning. For example, and this does go back in some ways to that question of forgetting or memorying, is that often you say that the brain is functioning correctly if someone can recall something, if they can remember something. But that is not a good measurement as to whether or not a brain is working correctly, because memory is based upon the parts of the brain that hold on to fear. There is no need to remember anything when you are in a tranquil state because there is no threat to you. Memory was developed by your species to be able to avoid threats that represented themselves at diverse intervals. Therefore, your abuse, and we will use the word abuse, of memory, for example, in your education system by asking children to memorize certain things, which has no at all relation to whether or not they are in danger, but is simply because you want to see if their brain is able to regurgitate, almost as if they are an actor on a stage, that thing that you have decided has value, is a form of detriment to the brain. And even as beings age and you look at those who are no longer able to recall certain details of their lives or certain details of the beings around them, yes, there are diseases that are degenerative, but there are also stages in a person's life where memory is no longer relevant. And those beings are told, and their family members are told, that this is a negative thing. Whereas if the being was left to their own devices and cared for as they are meant to be cared for in a community, in a loving environment, they could happily live out the rest of their lives in a state of fearlessness. But this is a digression. Therefore, your binaural beats are, yes, helping your brain, but as you relax more and more into your spiritual awakening and using that particular tool, you may find that the memory aspects of your brain relax as well. Does this help?
It does. Thank you so much. So often during meditation, outside of meditation, I'm feeling more and more of spontaneous goosebumps all over my body and also energy moving through me very intensely, but positively, pleasurably. And I've come to think of it as I don't know, my higher self or my angels or moving through me. When something resonates and I find it to be true, I'll get those goosebumps or love energy coming at me. Am I right in this? And
Yes.
what okay. Okay. Um, Here's another meditation question. A few months ago, I was meditating and all of a sudden I heard a pop and then I saw what I thought of as a portal. But hours later, I looked in the mirror and I had popped a blood vessel in my eye. And that's never happened before. And I think that portal that I think I saw was probably just my vision of seeing that blood vessel pop. Well, why did that happen when I was just sitting meditating? Did maybe my neck come down and pop something, or was it an energetic release?
Well, this is that old story of the chicken and the egg and which came first, because you did not actually have evidence of having popped the blood vessel until you looked in the mirror. So, from the time that you had the perception of seeing a portal up until the time that you looked into the mirror, you had a belief that you were seeing this portal or that something on a grand metaphysical level had occurred. As soon as you saw the blood vessel in your eye, your system simultaneously may have been disappointed, but also in some ways relieved to know that no grand metaphysical thing that proves the existence of all these things I've been dabbling with does exist. In fact, there is a perfectly valid explanation for what has occurred, because look at my eye. Of course I did not see a portal. Of course this is simply some sort of physical thing that has occurred. Now, you are intelligent. You gave yourself the permission slip. You gave yourself the out. You gave yourself what is known as the law of doubt, or the law of confusion, in that you gave yourself the ability to deny the thing that you thought might be occurring or might have occurred, which is extremely intelligent to do, and it is much what you manifest in an often day-to-day basis. For example, the lights flicker in the house. Oh yes, it was just a surge in the energy. That is not a poltergeist. Or something happens where you know before stepping out into the curb that you should wait 1 second moment earlier, longer, and then a car speeds by that does not relent. You say to yourself, well, it's just a coincidence that I felt I needed to tie my shoe in that moment, and that is what saved my life ultimately. So you do give yourself these permission slips all the time.
Mm.
We would say that you simultaneously have the reality of having seen a portal and popped a blood vessel in your eye. Your question now to us is, why would that blood vessel pop in your eye with no stimulus? And we are giving you the answer. The answer is because you chose for it to occur. You can now take one step further and give yourself a permission slip in the form of, oh, isn't there something wrong with my neck? And maybe I should get this checked out, and maybe I should look into this further. You can go down that route as long as you would like to until you feel comfortable. That is in your free will to do so. Or you can simply decide that this is an interesting and curious phenomenon that you are willing to research and inquire about further within yourself and simply see what happens.
Thank you so much.
We thank you.